And we're back for round 3 of Wednesday Night Standard here at GameSwap in lovely Mason, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati, if you're curious. On the left, we have Isaiah Edwards. On the right, we have Nick Hindman. I'm told this is a Mardu Vehicles mirror. And while we would normally be averse to putting mirror matches on camera, there is some interesting intricacy to this particular mirror match. So hopefully, we'll have some good magic to watch here.
Yeah, Mardu Vehicles has a lot going for it as an aggro deck, and it transitions well to the late game. And depending on how their sideboards look, they could be very well just be two different decks in the post-board games.
Yes, you have some variants that are splashing blue for the Ceremonious Rejection package out of the sideboard for the Marvel matchup. And then you have some versions that are still on the old, though not outdated, heavy Planeswalker package.
Yeah. And as Nick shuffles up for a mulligan, just want to point out that Isaiah's hair is on point today. When you get to notice that. Oh, there we go. Wow. Isaiah's hair on point. Look at him.
Isaiah, definitely a very robust character.
A character is, yes, the way to put it. And so...
I don't know Isaiah. I'm sure he's a good man. You definitely know when he's in a room.
Yeah. So where is Mardu sitting at in the metagame right now?
So it has a really good blue-red control matchup.
Okay, so it has a really good blue-red control matchup.
For because of threat diversity.
Yes.
It attacks on different axes and taxes the answers available to blue-red control. It's not, however, fast enough, at least in my opinion, to consistently get under a deck like Marvel.
Okay, so it might be a turn too slow for Marvel.
It's roughly the same speed as a well-played Zombies deck.
Okay.
And because of cards like Crypt Breaker, Zombies is generally able to out-attrition.
Yeah, definitely.
The Mardu.
I have played the Mardu like Zombies matchup before, and you end up just kind of going wider than them. And so when I did lose the matchup once, it was because they had the kind of Planeswalker package going into Fumigates. And so I just kind of was caught off guard by it. Just kind of tried to smell it out and just did not.
Yeah, and I think that's Mardu's best shot in the matchup.
Yeah.
Like I said, they're not fast enough to get under Marvel, so certainly not fast enough to get under Zombies.
And so Nick here just has to kind of fire up his heart and go after him, because Isaiah's heart's always going to be bigger, right, with the veteran motorist.
Indeed.
But it seems as if Nick missed. No, Nick didn't miss a land drop yet. He just hasn't taken that, gone that far yet. Oh, or did he just not play a land?
He did not. He played Heart on 2 and then Scrounger on 3.
Oh, so just.
And Isaiah is just already miles ahead here, I think.
Yeah. He's going to crew that heart. And
that Scrounger's not blocking.
Yeah.
We're getting in for 7.
Yeah.
Isaiah on the play with an aggressive draw. Trades his motorist for Nick's heart.
Yeah.
Great trade for Isaiah. Access to 4 mana next turn. Nick's going to have a hard time getting back in this one, I think.
Yep.
Especially with that comes into play tap land on 3. Or, well, on 4, actually.
Just tackle the Scrap Heap Scrounger. Don't overthink. Oh, well, there could be a heart, I guess.
But he's still not blocking Isaiah's heart, right? Does DePaula...
DePaula pumps, yeah. So, there's a line in which you might end up blocking a DePaula, but... So...
That's a Chandra Torch of Defiance or a Gideon for Isaiah.
Yeah, so...
Either 4-mana Planeswalker is real good here.
Crew. 9. Nope. Only 6. Nope. 8.
Or 26 at this point. It
doesn't really matter. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, sure. I can't do math. I apologize.
So Nick with 4 has his own Gideon.
Yeah, you're not blocking with those scrap heap scroungers, so.
Nick lamenting the fact that he was 1 turn behind, also notably on the draw.
Yeah, really messed up by not rolling higher.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a definite punt.
Yeah, and you can't win them all, I guess. So
no,
you got to make those mistakes to learn from them.
Right.
So curious to see how sideboarding goes. I'm not sure if I know walking ballista seems attractive, possibly, if we want to be killing exemplars and veteran motorists.
Well, I mean, if Isaiah is on the Planeswalker plan himself, those
are getting cut.
Yeah, those exemplars are definitely coming out. The motorists I don't hate, though, because they allow your vehicles to outsize your opponents.
Yeah, definitely. But that might be less... Now, is veteran motors better on the play?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The entire deck is better.
Well, okay, sure. So I guess the question was: is there a situation where you are you're boarding out motorists on the draw and bringing them in the play? I guess is the question.
I think it just really depends on what
he has.
Isaiah has in his sideboard. I mean, I see a lot of cards coming out here.
Well, I think he did the old 15 in, 15 out.
Okay.
The classic.
Yep. And quite honestly, yeah, that is really what everyone should be doing at any level of play. When your opponent can see the number of cards that you are taking out of your deck, they can make some educated guesses as to what you could possibly be bringing in, which opens up the possibility of some counter sideboarding.
Yeah, and so the old strategy is just put 15 in, take 15 out. And it also kind of... it helps in terms of not kind of restricting yourself to a limited just in these cards out.
Indeed.
You start kind of evaluating cards given how you're changing the deck, but also kind of thinking about cards in the matchup particularly.
Right.
And so
you get, I think, a more holistic picture of what your 60 is going to look like.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely one of the areas where online programs like Magic Online and other more illicit ones that are free, you can look into them yourselves, have an advantage, is that when you're sideboarding, it's far easier to see all of your deck laid out in front of you and to conceptualize, of course, what your 60 looks like after you have made those swaps.
Yeah, definitely.
I find sideboarding on Magic Online and other programs easier than
it kind of it brings into focus that you're like evaluating this card relative to this card in this situation. Is this 15th card? What should this 15th card be? What should my 60th card be?
And we're getting ready to kick off Game 2 with a healthy 43 minutes remaining on the clock.
Yeah, we're gonna do this right.
Yeah, Game 1 was a firestorm.
Yeah.
Of Isaiah doing things and Nick dying.
Yes. Yeah.
However, Nick is on the play. He has made the correct choice for this game.
Yeah.
And Isaiah is on a mulligan.
You know, honestly, Nick might have just like let Game 1 be just like in the bag. Let's let Isaiah have it. You know, take the play. Game 2.
Not show him too much.
Yeah, don't show him too much.
Sure.
Let him know that you have a vehicle.
Keep a few cards up the proverbial sleeve there. Of course, Nick with the T-shirt, that would be pretty difficult.
Wow, what a scrub wearing short sleeves. How can you sleight of hand them?
Makes it far more difficult to cheat. Isaiah leaves the scry on top, and we're off.
So, tap land turn 1, not always what you want from the aggro deck. And Isaiah's going to show him how to do it right.
The only one drop left in the deck at this point should be Thraben Inspector.
Yeah, I don't Is that an all sideboard plans?
Exemplar always comes out.
Okay.
Right?
I don't know.
I think it does.
I think that I am distinctly not smart enough to play this Mardu Vehicles deck.
Definitely one of the reasons that I would shy away from it. I find personally that decks that are difficult to sideboard or have like these almost transformative packages make them difficult, and that's not really what I'm looking to do.
Well, transformative packages, like sideboard packages, like when you're trying to shift your deck's kind of game plan, you're going from an aggro deck to a mid-range deck or an aggro deck to a control deck. It's usually for a certain matchup. There's this one situation where you're going to make this clean swap, usually.
But I don't think that's been the case for Mardu.
I don't think it has. I think it's very kind of dependent. It depends on what your opponent does. And so...
Oath of Chandra here, taking down that motorist.
Yeah, and so Oath of Chandra leads me to think that Isaiah does have Planeswalkers in his 75.
I tell you what he's not doing, though. He's not blinking that Oath of Chandra with Felidar Guardian. That will not happen in this game.
Sadly.
So we have a promo.
Yeah, that's a buy-a-box.
Thalia?
Yeah, that's a Heretic Cathar.
Yeah, great card in this matchup, I think.
It's look good in any like matchup where your opponent's playing creatures, pretty much.
Yeah,
but you know, that's a cut to ribbons, dealing 4 damage to the Thalia.
Thalia suffers a fatal cut, not a fatal push.
True.
Right.
And so, cut to ribbons is an interesting one. I think that just like.
I think that card's great for this deck.
Yeah, so good out of Almaket, where the first half is just a burn spell to remove a creature, and the second half of the card is just a fireball to your opponent. You just make X life and you're done.
Right, and there are definitely iterations of games where, you know, we get into ground stalls, we're staring at each other for a long time, and that X spell out of the graveyard for literally no cards out of your hand is invaluable. A getting frisky with the Bushwhacker. Now this is a... There we have the cut to ribbons.
That's a little bit of spice with that Bushwhacker.
Yeah, Nick with the interesting addition.
Just trying to get him. Sadly, Bushwhacker did not have any friends to whack bushes with.
Well, you know, when you're living in a world of Marvel and you know that your deck is not inherently fast enough to get under Marvel, exploring more aggressive options is not necessarily a bad idea.
Yeah, definitely. I can see what you're saying.
Whether it's appropriate in this matchup remains to be seen.
Yeah. So Isaiah just has this release the gremlins rotting in his hand. And I think there might have been some... That's probably a fine way to do it that way. So this release the gremlins in his hand is rotting it because Nick just doesn't have any artifacts to target with.
You know, and I think that's probably a common theme these days. I feel like that the release the gremlins out of the sideboard for Mardu against other Mardu decks has become obsolete.
Yeah, I could imagine that. Just don't really know enough, honestly.
I mean, like, Heart is still a very relevant card, certainly.
Yeah.
And Isaiah has Nick's first Heart covered.
Yes. Okay.
Scrounger, still a relevant card.
Yeah. Even if you're boarding into the side of the Planeswalkers, you're still going to have those 2 cards, I think.
Right. But, I mean, this game could definitely play out in a way to where Isaiah just dies with that release the gremlins in hand.
Yeah. But I'm curious if last turn he should have committed the Cultivator's Caravan to the board, but I don't think it really matters.
What's he holding up here with that mana?
He main phased cracking a clue last turn.
Maybe just a murder and not a murder bolt for a potential Heart of Kieran activation.
Yeah. Did he have spells in his hand did Nick have spells in his hand that he could have played?
You know, Nick is very adept at hiding his hand from the camera.
Yeah, you know, he's slouching back in that chair.
Yeah, he's chilling.
Chilling like a villain.
Yep, and that Scrounger is probably going to get gobbled up by gremlins.
Sadly, gremlins can't actually crew any of these vehicles, and so...
Still, though, it puts you further ahead on board. There's an Oath of Liliana off the top.
Yeah, let's oath.
Yep. I definitely like that better than the release for sure.
Yeah. Still have high, like, yeah.
And he's able to hold up the unlicensed disintegration that's in his hand.
Yeah, release is just a more versatile card,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. So get minimal value out of the Oath of Liliana because the Scrap Heap Scrounger can come back, but let's dig out our clue.
It was a nice cut to the Windows background there. Don't know if they picked that up on stream.
I'm not sure. Oh.
Okay, now we're bushwhacking. One of them's going to get murder bolted, though.
The old murder bolt.
Yeah. And Nick should take 3 here.
Nick should take 3. Did Nick lose his clue?
You know, I don't recall what happened to the clue.
There was a clue pulled out. Let's get the clue back on the board. But all right. So Isaiah's draw is a fatal push, it looks like. Man, this Mardu Vehicles deck runs so much removal.
Yeah, I think Nick should have a clue.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, it was just off screen.
Off
there.
screen.
Yep.
Okay.
Gremlins gobbled it up.
Gremlins gobbled it up. It's a very Jund move. Just get their last little resource that probably isn't very relevant to the game, but just don't give them a chance. Don't risk it. So, I think I saw an Avacyn in Nick's hand, kind of rotting there until he hits the 5th land.
And Isaiah has to smell the unlicensed disintegration here.
Yeah, but
A clue and now the ability to crew. Dropping the hot rhymes.
so what? Oh, wow. So do we crew the
Immediately
caravan
sacks.
or the heart?
Well, okay, so if we assume that
Yeah.
that Isaiah knows that Nick has unlicensed, I think at this point, since we have 6 lands in play, that the caravan is less valuable than the heart.
Okay.
And so I would run out the caravan first.
Caravan's what, a 5/5?
Indeed.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I'd value the vigilance more. So let's
I'd value the flying more.
Yeah, yeah. Et al, I guess. Yes. Flying, etc. Vigilance, etc.
Isaiah completely disagrees with us.
And Isaiah might just be setting himself to get blown out here. Is that a promo in licensed disintegration?
F&M, yep.
Wow, really forcing us to go deep on these. Come on, guys.
Well, next month's promo is Aether Hub, and I have to say it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. Is it worth playing standard for?
Another question entirely.
Yes. Honestly, our metagame doesn't seem too bad. There isn't too many Marvel spins.
Fair.
So I see a Fumigate in hand.
Yeah, it looks like Nick is just flush with removal here. Not many threats, though.
Oh, he's got a second unlicensed disintegration for the caravan when it gets fired up.
Indeed.
I like that.
Looks like Fumigate, Oath of Chandra, and unlicensed disintegration in Nick's hand. Isaiah with a fatal push and also picks up a Scrap Heap Scrounger.
Okay. So Isaiah's going to commit the Scrap Heap Scrounger to the board to fire up the caravan.
Mm-hmm.
Try to push with the 2/2, the 1/2, and the 5/5.
Yeah, just team them, certainly. Well, I don't know. I mean, the Shambling Vent could possibly be active as well, right? So if Nick decides he could eat the Gremlin for free, but Isaiah has the fatal push.
Yeah, I think you just eat the 5/5, facing down open mana.
Sure.
Especially when you're trying to get to Fumigate mana.
Yeah.
Your hand is kind of
Yeah, I mean, the Fumigate's better now that we've got the vehicles off the board for sure.
Definitely. But, and then we'll just block Shambling Vents.
Yeah, the Scrap Heap Scrounger's coming back to the party, though.
But Nick has a Shambling Vent as well, so we can just kind of race, maybe?
Maybe. I mean, Isaiah has one, too, so...
I believe that was a carry. No, man, I don't want to say that. Okay.
All right. So Nick fumigates and gains, what, 4 life?
4 life.
Yeah, your Thraben Inspector is also dead, sir.
Yeah, and that... Okay, so I see what you're saying in terms of the Scrap Heap Scrounger just immediately coming back.
Mm-hmm. And Isaiah can safely fire up that Shambling Vent and get in for 5.
Yeah, so...
Immediately putting him back ahead in the race. Negating the life that Nick just gained from Fumigate.
So... Fire it up, Isaiah. Let's tap our mana better. Let's tap our mana better. Sure. Okay, so the Fumigate looked really bad in hindsight.
I mean, the Oath of Chandra was not likely accomplishing much either.
Sure. I'm just curious if maybe Nick boarded out of threats too much.
Well, we know that he's still got Veteran Motorist in his deck. We saw that.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, seems like years ago, but it was
Oh,
definitely
okay.
this game.
Whoops.
So if Nick has the Fumigates in his deck, I have to assume that he also has Planeswalkers, and that's definitely what he's looking for here.
Yeah.
That's a big old Planeswalker is just about the only thing I think that's going to get him back to parity.
But what Planeswalker are you even looking for at that point?
Nahiri exiles the Scrounger or the Heart.
Okay, yeah, the Heart's not going to really tap ever. Okay.
Doesn't it just exile an artifact? It doesn't have to be
It's a tapped artifact, untapped enchantment.
Okay.
So this is a Carry Zev's Expertise. I want to say it's a threaten effect. So he takes a vehicle, and then you get a free spell, 2 or less, or 3 or less, and that free spell is going to be a Veteran Motorist.
So I thought that Carry Zev's Expertise could only steal a creature. Am I wrong about that?
I want to say
Heart's not currently a creature.
I want to say the theme of the format. I don't know what the card says, but I want to say the theme of the set leads me to think that it would also steal and crew a vehicle.
Steal an artifact.
Sure, steal an artifact,
Okay.
and then maybe he has to crew it. Nelson, fire us up. Carry Zev's Expertise. Oh, okay, so steal an artifact, then crew.
Yep. Creature or vehicle. There we go.
Okay, so you still have to crew the vehicle once you take it?
Right. Which he did.
Yeah, he did.
Got in for 5.
All right.
So, roughly even here.
Yeah.
Nick still with an Oath of Chandra in hand to take care of a potential blocker and stay at parity. No, that heart's breaking parity pretty well.
Yep. And it's kind of, what does this Oath hit? Because if you hit the Scrap Heap Scrounger, you turn off the heart, but...
It just comes back, right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Yep.
So if he has another creature in his graveyard, which is not necessarily guaranteed.
Yeah. And let's see if Nick remembers his Scrap Heap. Okay, yeah, there we go. Now we're talking. Okay, Nick, let's go. Let's get some action here.
So I think based on current information, I like oathing the Thraben Inspector and getting in for 6.
Sure.
Keeping in mind Isaiah still has that fatal push that he's been sitting on for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, so Nick stayed full on aggression. He just picked up a Toolcraft Exemplar.
Yeah. So I think Nick is currently deciding whether the Shambling Vent is worth firing up as well, and what do we want to do about this Thraben Inspector that's going to brick our veteran motorist.
So maybe Nick doesn't actually have the oath, and I was mistaking the Karizev's expertise for an Oath of Chandra.
That is quite possible.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he just has 2 cards in hand. It's a Thraben Inspector and a Coolcraft Exemplar.
Right. Okay. So down goes the vent. The motorist trades with the inspector.
Yeah.
And Scrounger does its damage.
So let's jam the Exemplar.
Mm-hmm.
And...
not blocking anything, right?
Nope. Yeah. Are we going to get... Oh, okay. We'll leave the Shambling Vent back to block with Isaiah, for Isaiah.
Yeah, there's... at this point with that heart...
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, 4's fine.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, we have a cut.
Indeed.
We have a cut to ribbons.
Right. Gosh,
wow.
that seemed like... It seemed like that cut happened in, like, 1975 or something. Completely forgot about it.
No, the first game finished in 7 minutes.
Well, at least the second game, there was some interaction.
Yeah,
there was
definitely.
some back and forth.
Yeah.
There was some question about who was ahead and who was behind.
Yeah, definitely. No, once Nick kind of settled in, got there, had some back and forth, it was good.
All right, but still quite the whirlwind round there.
Yeah. With 25 minutes left in the round, we're going to take a break. We're going to wait for the other matches to finish. Try to get back here as early as possible, but we should be back around in 25. Hopefully you'll stay with us.